What mysterious circumstances in the chilling winter of the late 1950s could have led to the grim fate of 9 young skiers who embarked on a journey into the heart of Russia's Ural Mountains? As night descended, their campsite on the slopes of Thetelltalechannel, ominously known as Dead Mountain, became the haunting ground where their fates were sealed in a horrific way. The corpses exhibited signs of inexplicable mutilation and were discovered heavily cloaked in snow amidst the remote mountain slope of Thetelltalechannel, a route not included in their mission, and one that no one in Russia had ever taken before. The infamous Dyatlov Pass Incident unfolded in February 1959 when a group of 9 experienced skiers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out for a skiing expedition across the northern Urals in Sverdlovsk Oblast, Soviet Union, but met a tragic fate under mysterious circumstances in the mountains. Despite their experience, the group failed to reach their destination and were later discovered deceased near their campsite. What ensued was a harrowing scene. The victims were found in varying states of undress, with unexplainable injuries so severe that they could not have been caused by any human. Some exhibited crushed ribs, reminiscent of high-speed car collisions, while others bore horrifying injuries, including missing eyeballs, lips, eyebrows, and even a missing tongue. Adding to the eerie puzzle, certain bodies were adorned in clothing not their own but the clothes of earlier discovered bodies, which were curiously wearing nothing but their underwear. Igor Dyatlov, the 23-year-old leader of the expedition, was a student studying radio engineering at the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Soviet Russia. The entire trip was planned to be a 16-day venture into the far northern regions of Sverdlovsk Oblast and the upper streams of the Lozva River, with Dyatlov accompanied by 9 other skiers. The route was confirmed by the Sverdlovsk City Route Commission, and the group was issued their route book on January 23, 1959, with confirmation of the group of 10 people obtained on January 8, 1959. Of the 10 experienced hikers, 8 were males and 2 were females, all fellow students and peers at the same university in their early 20s. Mysteriously, just before embarking on their journey, the university administration added a 37-year-old member named Telltale to the group, who was significantly older than most of the other members and a hardened World War II veteran covered in tattoos. The university never provided any explanation for Telltale's inclusion in the trip, fueling speculation that he might have had affiliations with the KGB, which was the main security agency for the Soviet Union from March 13, 1954, until December 3, 1991. Telltale, Igor Dyatlov, and all the other members of the expedition were experienced Grade 2 hikers with ski touring experience. They were on the verge of receiving Grade 3 certificates upon their return, the highest and most honorable grade attainable for skiers in the Soviet Union, which required skiers to traverse a distance of 300 kilometers or approximately 185 miles. All 10 members embarked on their winter expedition on January 23, 1959, with plans to send a telegram message back to their sports club upon their return to Visay, which was expected within 3 weeks after kicking off their journey. They arrived in Ivdel during the early morning hours of January 25, 2 days after setting out. From there they took a truck to Visay, the last inhabited settlement to the north of their destination, and commenced their trek on January 27. Just a few days into their journey, on January 28, one of the skiers, Yuri Yudin, had to abandon the expedition due to serious medical issues. With the aim of attaining Grade 3 certificates, the remaining 9 continued their journey while documenting their experiences with cameras and diaries, which would later become crucial evidence in unraveling the mystery of their deaths. On January 31, the Dyatlov group began climbing after reaching the edge of a highland area. The following day, February 1, the expedition encountered their first signs of trouble as a fierce snowstorm forced them off their path. In their journals, they detailed the difficulty of their hike as they battled the harsh conditions at that time. As night fell and weather conditions worsened, the group tragically veered westward and ended up on the slopes of Thetelltalechannel, also known as Dead Mountain to the indigenous Mansi people. Encountering harrowing conditions, the Dyatlov group hastily set up their camp on the slope of Thetelltalechannel, a decision that would later be viewed as a major mistake. Despite being only 1.5 kilometers or a mile away from a forested area where they could have sought shelter from the harsh weather, they opted to remain on the exposed slope. According to Yudin, who had returned earlier, Dyatlov probably did not want to lose the altitude they had gained, or he decided to practice camping on the mountain slope. Upon not receiving the expected telegram message back on February 12, the families of the skiers demanded a rescue operation on February 20th. The first rescue groups, consisting of volunteer students and teachers from the institute, were sent out for the search. After days of searching, on February 26, the Dyatlov group's camp was eventually found in a miserable state on the slope of Thetelltalechannel. This location was not included in the route book issued to them by the Sverdlovsk City Route Commission, and the plotted route hadn't been taken by any Russians before due to its dangers. The tent was horrifically ripped from the inside, containing the skiers' shoes, personal items and equipment, along with a perfectly sliced meal on a plate, as if the hikers were preparing to eat it, and there were no signs of any outsiders entering the tent. Despite a search operation lasting 6 days and involving the army accompanied by helicopters and planes, no bodies were discovered, and there were no traces of other people on the entire Thetelltalechannel besides the 9 skiers. 9 sets of footprints, possibly made by barefoot individuals, led towards the edge of a nearby forest on the opposite side of the pass. About 500 meters away from there, beneath a towering Siberian pine, 2 of the 9 bodies were discovered near the tree line, approximately a mile from their campsite. Despite temperatures plummeting to a negative 30 degrees Celsius, Krivonyshenko and Doroshenko were surprisingly found wearing nothing but their underwear. Investigators noted broken branches and remnants of a small fire nearby, suggesting that the skiers may have climbed up to search for something, possibly their camp. Even more bizarrely, Krivonyshenko had third-degree burns on his body, with a chunk of flesh from his right hand in his mouth, likely bitten off by himself. Another 3 bodies were discovered between the camp and the towering pine tree, including those of the leader Dyatlov, Slobodin, and Kolmogorova, who was one of the 2 female students on the hike, and evidence suggested that each of them had attempted to return to the camp on their own in a state of panic, ultimately perishing in the process. One of them had a severely fractured skull, and the investigation revealed that all 5 of these initially discovered students appeared to have succumbed to hypothermia, exacerbated by their inexperience and the harsh sub-zero temperatures. This condition can induce erratic behavior such as paradoxical undressing, wherein individuals experiencing extreme cold mistakenly perceive themselves as overheating and begin to remove their clothing, despite the perilous environmental conditions. However, despite this grim discovery, the mystery deepened as 4 bodies remained missing, leaving investigators puzzled and the fate of the remaining members of the expedition uncertain. The remaining 4 bodies out of the original 9 were not discovered until 2 months after the incident, once the snow had begun to melt. Found by an indigenous Mansi hunter, these bodies were located in what appeared to be a snowden. Inside the den, the corpses of Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, sports instructor Semyon Zolotaryov, and Ludmila Dubinina, the second female student on the trip, were found on May 4, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the pine tree. Strangely, these bodies were found wearing the clothes of previously discovered bodies, and among these 4, one had a fractured skull so severe that there were reportedly pieces of bone in his brain. Kolevatov had his eyebrows missing, Zolotaryov was found with a camera around his neck and a crushed chest with empty eye sockets, and Dubinina was found with a crushed chest, parts of lips missing, eyes having no eyeballs, and even a missing tongue, lying in a peculiar position on her knees with her face and chest pressed against a rock. The injuries were claimed to be so strong that they could not have been caused by any human beings and were consistent with the damage that could have been caused due to a devastating car crash. Surprisingly, all of the bodies showed no signs of outward trauma, with one of the corpses, that of Dubinina, wearing Krivonyshenko's burned torn trousers and her left foot and shin wrapped in a torn jacket. Adding to the already perplexing circumstances, the investigation took a chilling turn when it was discovered that the clothing worn by some of the deceased hikers was contaminated with traces of radiation. This alarming revelation, coupled with the traces of radiation detected throughout the campsite, prompted speculation and conspiracy theories suggesting government involvement or a potential cover-up. Initially, speculation arose that the indigenous Mansi people might have attacked the skiers for encroaching on their territory, leading to the interrogation of several Mansi individuals. However, subsequent evidence suggested that this scenario was unlikely to have occurred. In May 1959, the same month in which the last bodies were discovered, the inquest was quickly closed with thin explanations because authorities believed that they were unable to identify any individual or group responsible for the Dyatlov Pass incident, and the files containing information about the investigation were then stored in a secret archive out of the public view, with the cause of the deaths of all 9 members documented to be a compelling natural force. Immediately following the abrupt closure of the inquest in 1959, witness testimonies from another group of hikers, approximately 50 kilometers south of the incident, began to emerge. These accounts indicated sightings of mysterious orange spheres in the northern sky on the night of the incident. Subsequently, both the Meteorological Service and the military, along with several other witnesses in Ivdel and surrounding areas, claimed to have observed similar anomalous objects in the sky during February and March of 1959. In 1997, a significant revelation emerged regarding the incident when it was discovered that the camera negatives belonging to one of the hikers, Krivonyshenko, had been preserved in the private archive of investigator Lev Nikitic Ivanov. Following this revelation, which contained potentially crucial photographic evidence, Ivanov's daughter generously donated the camera negatives to the Dyatlov Foundation, allowing for further analysis by investigators seeking to unravel the mysteries surrounding the tragic incident. In April 2018, journalists from Komsomolskaya Pravda took the initiative to exhume the remains of one of the hikers, Zolotaryov, seeking new insights into the Dyatlov Pass incident. The examination yielded puzzling results. While the injuries resembled those from a car accident, DNA analysis didn't match living relatives. Additionally, Zolotaryov's name was missing from the Ivanovskoye cemetery burial list. However, facial reconstruction matched post-war photos, sparking speculation about identity discrepancies or wartime concealment. After more than half a century, in 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation operation following the request of families. On July 11, 2020, Andrei Kuryakov, deputy head of the Urals Federal District Directorate of the Prosecutor General's Office, announced an avalanche as the official cause of death for the Dyatlov group. However, despite initial speculation, the evidence overwhelmingly refutes the possibility of an avalanche. A detailed analysis of the terrain, snow cover, and weather conditions has revealed no signs of an avalanche occurring in the area during the time of the incident. Numerous expeditions to the region have failed to uncover any conditions that could have triggered such an event. Moreover, the experienced skiers in the group, including Dyatlov and the much older Zolotaryov, who was studying for his master's certificate, would have been unlikely to camp in an avalanche-prone area. The footprints leading away from the tent also depict calm and deliberate movement rather than panicked flight from an impending disaster. Beside all this contradictory evidence, the last review conducted between 2015 and 2019 at the continuous request of the families by experienced investigators from the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation also confirmed the occurrence of an avalanche, shedding new light on the tragic events. The ICRF investigators, including one seasoned alpinist, emphasized that the weather conditions on the night of the incident were extremely severe for any human being to endure, with hurricane-force winds reaching speeds of 20 to 30 meters per second, accompanied by a fierce snowstorm and temperatures plummeting to -40 degrees Celsius. According to this last review, the group ascended Ural Mountain on the fateful night of February 1 and pitched their tent on an exposed slope amid relentless snowfall and fierce winds. Their activities, including traversing the slope and excavating the snow to secure their tent, weakened the snowpack's stability and set the scene for calamity. As the hours passed, the weight of the accumulating snow triggered a slow descent down the slope, exerting pressure on the tent's fabric. Awoken by the encroaching danger, the group frantically evacuated, some managing to don warm clothing while others fled in their pajamas and underwear. Hindered by the blocked tent entrance, they cut through the fabric and descended 1,500 meters to the forested border while seeking refuge from the impending avalanche. Tragically, 2 members, ill-equipped for the harsh elements, were later discovered near a fire pit by a Siberian pine tree, having succumbed to hypothermia. Meanwhile, 3 others, including Dyatlov, endeavored to return to the tent, likely in search of vital supplies. Despite slightly better attire, they succumbed to exhaustion and the biting cold, their lifeless forms scattered at varying distances from the campfire. As for the remaining 4, adequately provisioned and seeking sanctuary further downhill in the forest, their plight ended in tragedy as they tumbled into a snowdrift above a stream, concealed under several meters of snow, and only after 2 months were their bodies unearthed, bearing evidence of the fall's trauma. The ICRF investigators also highlighted the major contributing factors to the tragedy, including the severe weather conditions and the group leader's lack of experience in such environments, which led to the selection of a perilous camping site. Another significant error was the decision to split up instead of establishing a temporary camp for the safety of the forest. Despite the avalanche theory being widely accepted by authorities, various communities have put forth alternative theories. One such theory proposed in 2019 by a Swedish-Russian expedition suggests a violent katabatic wind may have been responsible. This rare yet powerful phenomenon was implicated in a similar tragedy in Sweden in 1978, where 8 hikers perished. According to this theory, the wind forced the group to flee their tent, seeking shelter behind the tree line, and while constructing makeshift shelters, one collapsed, resulting in severe injuries and the burial of 4 hikers. Another distinct theory, detailed by Donnie Eichar in his 2013 book Dead Mountain, suggests infrasound generated by a phenomenon known as a Kármán vortex street induced panic attacks in the hikers. This infrasound caused by wind passing over Telltale may have driven the group to flee their tent in a state of panic. As they descended the slope, they likely moved out of the infrasound's path and regained composure. However, in the darkness they may have stumbled and fallen into a ravine, resulting in traumatic injuries for 3 victims. Another popular theory suggests the involvement of the Soviet military, proposing that the hikers' campsite was inadvertently placed in the path of a Soviet parachute mine exercise, leading to their demise. Startled by explosions, the hikers fled their tent in a panic, some without shoes, and were unable to return for supplies. Subsequent parachute mine concussions may have caused fatal injuries to those who had taken shelter in their clothing. Glowing orange orbs reported in the sky could have been military aircraft or descending parachute mines. Other theories suggest scavenging animals could explain injuries, and there are speculations about unnatural manipulation of the bodies based on autopsy findings. Additionally, there's a hypothesis tying the incident to radiological weapons testing, citing radioactivity on clothing and descriptions of unusual skin and hair changes. Moreover, Yuri Yudin, the sole survivor of the trip, who helped in identifying the items of the skiers, couldn't identify one piece of cloth that he believed to belong to the military, as well as skis and glasses, raising speculation that the military found the bodies before rescuers did and then attempted a cover-up. In addition to all these, one strange yet popular theory circulates among various people, suspecting that the deaths of the hikers were caused by encounters with the Yeti. Proponents of this theory point to various factors such as the unusual injuries sustained by the victims and the remote location of the incident as evidence of a Yeti attack. According to the theory, the hikers may have stumbled upon the territory of a Yeti while trekking through the Ural Mountains, and in a panicked attempt to defend themselves or escape, the hikers may have inadvertently angered the creature, leading to a violent confrontation. The theory speculates that the injuries sustained by the victims, including crushed ribs and missing body parts, could be attributed to the immense strength of the Yeti. Furthermore, the alien theory has gained traction due to reports of bright flying spheres. Lead investigator Lev Ivanov, during the 1959 inquest operation stated, "I suspected at the time and am almost sure now that these bright flying spheres had a direct connection to the group's death." Even more peculiarly, Ivanov claimed that he was ordered by high-ranking Soviet officials to dismiss the claim of flying objects witnessed at the incident area and was forced to close the case immediately. The alien theory also seems to explain the radioactivity and inhuman trauma to the bodies. Over the years, various expeditions and independent investigations have been conducted to uncover the truth behind the greatest mystery to ever come out of the Soviet Union. In recent years, renewed interest in the case has prompted additional examinations of the evidence, including forensic analysis and scientific studies, but despite these efforts, the exact cause of the hikers' deaths remains a subject of debate and mystery, with no definitive conclusion reached even after about half a century since the incident. The area where the incident occurred is now known as the Dyatlov Pass, named after the leader of the Young Passionate Skiers group. With intensified theories ranging from an avalanche to aliens or military cover-up, the area has been famously dubbed Russian Area 51 due to the enigmatic deaths of the 9 members under extremely unusual and mysterious circumstances that have defied explanation to this day, even by the most skilled investigators of the time.